the fudge?
You gonna cuss throughout my whole show. Hello, this is Shantae.
What the fuck?
With
what
Brown
the
Sugar
hell?
Talks on the Black Unicorns. I like what the fudge.
What the fuck?
Cause we are very ignorant.
No,
we be going straight up crazy.
I mean, like, we're not that.
Hey, it's Shantae Brown Sugar Talk on the Black Unicorns. So again on the computer. So today just one show. Will you get a chance? Will you plug up the lights behind me?
No.
Okay.
I'm not going to do it because I don't have to.
Could you please try? Could you try, please,
no,
for me?
No,
please, for me.
No,
just please.
No.
Please.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Please.
Let me play this
Help
thing first.
me.
No. I might help you.
Okay, when you get a chance, just help me, okay? Because I need some more light. So anyway, I am a person that is like for real. Like, I don't mind interracial relationships because what I've learned is like actually an intercultural relationship. It's really not an interracial anything. And when people say, well, I just saw this meme about interracial relationships and how it doesn't help with stop racism. And sometimes, in fact, it really does. Like, seriously, like if a person has to take the time to get to know a person, all these different things, they start to create opportunities. Like, what if that person has a friend, they come over or whatever, and they get to know the person. Maybe that person is then a job is created. And that's essentially, again, another example I have where it happened to me because I was working at this store and I wasn't able to get into this program, and I would just keep telling the people that I needed help. And what I want to do. And like I said, they would stand in line and bring me gifts and all this different stuff. But I wasn't in a relationship with anybody, but at the same time I was creating friendships with these people. So just one day I was able to get into the program, and because at first they were just giving me like a long list of all this stuff I had to do. And when I told this person what was going on, she was like, oh yeah, that doesn't, so she went back to go look at it again. And guess what? I got a chance to get into the teaching program without having to go through all this extra stuff to get there. And so that's all I'm saying. It's like, it really does. Like, some of the relationships that other people build outside of what you're saying. Something else that I used to do that was really positive. Like I said, when I used to go to restaurants and I would sit and I would just eat with different people. Like, and I would even know how the people I met. Like, they would have like all these positions and stuff, and you know, when people have certain positions, they do have to eat by themselves because they don't know people and everybody else knows them. I don't know really who they are, so I don't care. Like, you know, it's like even some people I follow on Instagram, I just speak to them because I don't watch TV. So it's like, y'all know more about these people than I do. All I know is they got a blue check or whatever. I know
you don't watch
R&B,
that much TV, but
yeah,
you mostly did.
Exactly. So I just know R&B people, and if I look up someone, I look up a producer or a writer or whatever. Mostly writers. I look up the writers. But for the most part, I don't know half these people. So when I was by myself, when I was single, I didn't have anybody else to eat with. And I used to I love to go to restaurants, especially like by myself. I like the desserts and stuff.
Really?
I do. Before you were born, I used to do this while I was pregnant. You ate good. So besides the egg sandwich, I had an egg sandwich, which you did not like. Okay.
No, that was
the egg sandwich. He hates eggs now. He will not eat them
at all.
But anyway, yeah. So.
But they're trapped in vinegar. Hell yeah! You know I'm about to fuck that bitch.
You go okay. No.
I don't give a fuck.
Call the egg a bitch. But anyway, so yeah. So I would go and just like eat at the restaurants with different people, like with strangers, and I just met a lot of people that way too. And like I said, like just building relationships with people, you never know what kind of relationship you build. I remember we were at one restaurant and one woman was like, you actually teach your child well. Like, seriously, like she was like, you do a good job of teaching your child. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, and if you ask me, they'll say like, I'll be like, I don't teach him nothing, because that's what it feels like to me. Like, I'm not teaching him anything sometimes. But
for real, actually, you actually don't.
But I teach him all day. Whatever.
Sometimes.
We have all those talks. Whatever. He learns, but at the same time, it don't feel like I teach him because I'm his mom. He's always with me. So what I'm saying is, I do think that they do. I do think if it's a positive interracial relationship, that is a chance for a person to learn a new culture. It's a chance for a person to get to know a person of color or non-color, whatever, however y'all fix it out to be. But I do think that crossing over into other cultures, having intercultural relationships is not a thing. Because I always say my son is mixed too, because me and his father have different cultural tastes. Even my son's taste in food is different from mine. So some things that he likes, I'm not gonna eat it, but I have to buy that for him, because that's something that in his culture, that's what they do. I'm thinking that, I don't know if it's like something where I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it makes me feel like, because it's like he does like more of his cultural traditional food as opposed to what I cook. So that's what I'm saying. It's like really an intercultural relationship. They help each other. Like, it really does help. Like, if I married a rich man or whatever,
and have a lot of money,
and I went back to my neighborhood, no matter what culture he is, I'm therefore providing something in my neighborhood. What if this man was like, okay, what you want to do for your city? You know, like what you want to store, all this, you know, and so then it's like, then therefore you providing something back to your neighborhood, and that's only if you're willing to. Sometimes what happens is people get into interracial relationships, and then it's against their color, like it is racist. It's like the person is actually inside the relationship is racist, and that's the point y'all don't want to start to talk about. Y'all don't want to talk about the racism of black people and colorism and all that stuff. It's not you. I'm not saying you.
No. Like I mean, like I literally said, pretty much. I actually said racist.
Yeah, it is. And see, my son, he gets it too, because some people will be like, well, you're not mixed. And it's like, well, you really are. Yeah, like, I'm not the same culture as your father. Like, your father is a totally different culture. Yeah, and so, somebody else that represents that is a girl called Halfrican, and I follow her. No, her name is Halfrican. Is she on Instagram? So, it's HALFRICAN, a gorgeous girl. But that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's like the cultures are not the same. And you can experience racism from the African culture too. They actually had this thing called a get out of jail party. That's actually like where they saying like African American people go to jail a lot. Listen, that's not always the case. I mean, and even if it is the case, it's a real stereotype that people are actually pushing us into. Like, nobody is wanting to go to jail. Nobody is wanting to get pulled over and killed by cops. And if you look at it, the get out of jail party is stupid. And so that was something I would run into with African people sometimes. Like, they don't understand, even though our culture, the American black culture, is young and sent all over the world, and it's held to a standard all over the world. All over the world still doesn't understand our culture. It's the same thing within the city. The cities that we come from, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, East St. Louis, Texas, all those cultures are still different, even though we all still the same color. So it's like an intercultural relationship. It's not an interracial anything, because the cultures will be different. I could totally meet a white guy out here and we could be the same culture. A good example of that is one of the guys that used to come to my mom's house. His name was Jeff. He is a part of our culture because he knows us. Like, he knows our house. He knows what's in our house. He knows my mom bit. You know what I'm saying? We know his business. We know. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that man is a part of my culture. So to me, that's not interracial. It's not even intercultural. We the same. That's our child. You know. So it's just like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, we share the same culture. We share the same thing. We gonna have. I'm gonna have Sunday dinner. He know that we gonna play some kind of cards or something on Friday night. He knows that I like to go to this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it'll be just different things inside of the culture, the traditions, the happenings, all these different things that we share. He may even like the same foods. He may even cook it the same way. All these different things. So yeah, he's white, but at the same time, if he's part of the family, that's the same culture. So that's how I look at it. And I'm saying, like, y'all, that's the part that we don't ever want to like study or whatever. And I feel like if we make little steps like that, if we start to look at it in little pieces and separate, and like how it affects our own lives, then we'll start to like create a change of positivity. Because sometimes some of the stuff y'all put out there is so negative. It's like rooted in negativity. It's like, as soon as you post it, you know you got an attitude. If you post it and you like, maybe you shouldn't post it. Maybe the meme should not be posted. You know what I'm saying? Like, if it's a true attitude about it, especially when it comes to something that's discriminatory. And that's all I'm trying to get y'all to see. Like, a lot of stuff y'all post about sexuality, color, race, all that different stuff. Y'all, it's like we not actually studying and looking at what it is that's really affecting us. And culture is what affects us. Culture. So that's all I'm saying. It's like, it's not even a racial, it's really for real not a racial issue. Even though those systems are built, it's still stuff about classism and sexism and misogyny. And I'm feeling racism. But I'm feeling like too, it's like, if we don't get sexism down to a point, like, how the hell we finna tackle anything else? And that's all I'm saying. It's like, we still not, it's like we always pushing and punching and fighting, and it's like, we really do have the means to stop it, but we keep creating these situations or these clubs and these partnerships so that we don't even cross the lines anymore. So it's like, now I have an issue with people who are pro-black. You know, it's like, I understand what you're saying. I understand, because the money isn't there. But if the money isn't there, how are we going to get them to say something about the money if we're not sitting down and actually coming to a true resolution about what's really the fuck going on? And so that's the problem right there. It's like, okay, but this is how this is affecting me, and if we not bringing them true data, if we just protesting and stuff like that, when do we start to put some shit on some fucking paper? It's like, all these people out here, they getting all these degrees, and I haven't seen anything that's where it's like, let's study for this or let's study for that or whatever. Or I done seen like people building up black neighborhoods again, different things like that, which is beautiful, which is something I'm so down for. But at the same time, what I'm saying is, like, if you look back at history of the people who were actually trying to make changes, they would always say too that you have to invite different cultures. And that's why, because what happens is like, you get so pro whatever that you forget that it's evil out there. You forget that it's people that really is not for your culture. It's people that have been educated incorrectly, and they actually have power. They actually have power. And so then they would use that power to force in the idea, and other people will just follow just because that person has power. And so that's the one thing that we stop. It's like, the leaders that we have, right? The leaders that we had, the ones that are killed, and then even me, I mean, for real, in the middle of my nervous breakdown, because I was thinking, they gonna kill me. That I know too much. Like, I like somebody coming for me. And it's like, because I had these ideas like Malcolm X, or because I have the ideas like Martin Luther King, or because I have ideas like Marcus Garvey, whoever. But it's like, what I'm telling you, everything can't just be black. And even though we want it to exist that way, it's not gonna exist that way. I see how other people, how other nations, when they do the same thing, when they try to do their cleanse of like the purging of certain colors, and that's what it feel like right now. Like, they'll try to like kill out a certain race of people. So because they don't understand, it's almost like animalistic. Even though we know better than animals, even though we write books and all this different stuff, they'll turn everything into like some kind of animalistic situation. And it's like, wait a minute, we are better than that. And some of us are so educated that we know better than that, and it's still like we can't stop it from happening. And so even with education, you can't stop it from happening. So it's like, how do we move and make laws so none of these things start to happen? And you can always see that in different countries when they start to do their racial cleanse, when they killing the whole race for something, or they find a reason to do that. And I think COVID-19 was an issue too. How you know the African people didn't bring it into your country, but you gonna kill all the African people and put them out their house?
Call the ambulance.
The same thing with Hispanics. It was just a time when Bush was president. Now when Trump president, they're going to attack the Hispanic people. It's always something. And the reason why, too, is because the Hispanic population actually is going to, they know that sooner or later, which they already outgrew us. So what the problem was is that they actually started thinking that if Hispanic people outgrew the population, then Hispanic people would be more in offices and different things like that. So it's never really a true push to actually push Hispanic people towards higher education, towards different things like that, because they are afraid that Hispanic people are actually going to take over their culture. So, because I think Hispanic people and white people, I think it's about the same. So, that's all I'm saying. It's like, really, we have to start to look at the numbers and the things that are happening and seeing, okay,